Hey, this is the antisocial socialite back at it again. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, you have not yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, smash the notification bell, so when I get ready to run this mouth, baby, you are in the loop. You see the title, you know what time it is. Rihanna and Mother Goddess worship. This is something that's been going on for some time now. Over the years, it has become more and more frequent that the focus of humanity has gone on to the glorification and the worship of women. Now, I haven't really listened to a lot of commentaries on this topic regarding, Rihanna coming out and saying she doesn't mind not getting married or settling down, but she would like to have some children and a family in the next few years, yada yada yada, something like this. And it's been commonly said in the manosphere. I've said it myself over the time, not necessarily in this video. I actually wanted to do a video on this, but I'll just throw in a few points here. Unfortunately, the modern day woman cares more about the title of being a mother and not the title of being a wife. You see, we live in a society, especially in urban communities, where single motherhood has become a badge of honor. And what people don't realize is the reason why back in the day single mothers used to get so much praise was because it was so rare. I'm not saying so rare like it never happened, but it was more of a justified reason maybe. It wasn't something that women aspired to. There was still a lot of social pressure and expectation to be married. So when a woman had to raise a child on her own, it was seen as a big deal because society really looked down on that type of thing. So on the one hand, some people said they were courageous because they had their baby and they raised the baby on their own. Some felt sorry for the women because maybe the man wasn't a good man. And then others were like sympathetic because maybe the man has died and the woman, was a widow or something. So a lot of people didn't really approve of the single mother life, but they had a degree of respect when women were forced to take that role up. And that's still today. If you're a woman who's a widow and the reason why you're raising your kids on your own is because the father of your child has died, then obviously, hats off to you, because you have the loss of a partner to deal with, suddenly thrown into the deep end with the kids. So it's understandable that there's recognition there. But now it's become like a status symbol. Women making a big deal about how great they are as mothers, even though, they claim they don't need a father. And then it's like, I don't need a father, but when my parenting is bad, somehow it's because the father wasn't around. So there's this hypocrisy and this talking out of both sides of the mouth, which is really frustrating. You see, because women today are not raised to value the title of wife, and you often see women who are not wife material getting a lot of praise and recognition, women don't even think I should be a wife before I aspire to be a mother. And it's like a selfishness to want to have this unconditional love, like this person who's almost like a prisoner. Because when you are a child, you're at the mercy of adults around you because you are dependent on them. So this person that cannot go anywhere, who has to recognize me, who has to idolize me and give me love, that's what a child is when they are dependent. So for these women who are like, I really want a baby, but I don't mind if I don't have a man, it's kind of like, there's a passage in the Bible where Solomon has to judge between two women. So these two women each has had a child, a baby, and in the night, one of the women, I believe, she rolls over onto her baby and accidentally kills the baby. When she wakes up and realizes the child is dead, she sees the other woman with her baby and she swaps them. So when the mother wakes up and sees this dead child lying beside her, she says, "This is not my child." And she realizes what the woman has done. The two women go to Solomon and they start to argue about who the real mother is, like who this child really belongs to. So Solomon says, "Look, what we'll do is this. We'll cut the child in half and you each have half." The woman who lost her child said, "Yes, cut the child in half." But the real mother of the baby said, "No, I'd rather she take the child and it lives than for you to cut the child in half and then we have two dead children." And that's how Solomon was able to judge that the real mother would have compassion and fear for the life of her child. You see, the woman whose baby passed away, she was thinking from a selfish perspective, her needs, her wants, her desires. She didn't have care for the child. She only cared about her own emotional needs being met. And women today who are like, "I don't need a father for my baby. I'm a mother and a father all by myself. I don't need no man. My kids have me, blah, blah, blah." They're like the woman whose child has died and they don't want to see anybody else have happiness. They don't want to see anybody else prosper. And personally, all they can think about is their own selfish needs for, to be a mother. Even if it's going to cost the life of the child. Because we know children who grow in a stable two-parent home turn out generally better than children who grow in single-parent households, especially single-mother households. Neither is ideal single mother or single father, but children who grow in a single-mother household just generally tend to not do as well because women are emotional, they're more erratic, they're less likely to be I don't want to say committed to anything, but because they're more likely to be, their emotions fluctuate, they're inconsistent, which means that the child is going to grow up in an environment of ambiguity, and that's going to follow them more likely through into adulthood, emotionalism, being very reactive, not necessarily being logical. These are skills you have to have if you're going to thrive in the adult world. I'm sure a lot of people who will jump on this story are going to look at it from the angle of, the culture of single motherhood in the black community, the fact that, she feels comfortable saying this, the selfishness of black women in general who don't think about the father of their baby. There's also the aspect of Rihanna's had a lot of opportunities to date high-value men. And yet she still somehow can't seem to find somebody who will settle down with her and just give her a baby, and she just goes off into the sunset. So there's all of that. But looking at it from the other side, which is a bit more of the spiritual side, there's picture and image after image of these celebrity women doing strange things to children, appearing very strangely with children. But when I heard this story, one of the first things that came into my mind was the image of what we now call Mary with the baby Jesus. Okay? We all know that this is a revamping or a reworking of pagan traditions. It's Semiramis, I believe it is, with Tammuz. I'm not sure, but I need to, because the same goddess is depicted multiple different ways. So in one culture she's Semiramis, in other culture she's this, in other culture she's that. And when, pagan Rome was taken over to an extent by Christianity, that statue was made into Mary with Jesus. Okay? And I don't want to bet money because I don't want to lose the money. And I've got no one to bet with. If you want to bet with me, chuck your bet in the comment section. If Rihanna has a child with no man, I don't doubt that it will be long before she does a Mother Earth Giah, her half naked or fully naked, covered in leaves with a baby picture. She's already done the illuminated eye. I believe she's already appeared with ancient Egyptian headdress. She could be Nefertiti, she could be Cleopatra. She's already done photo shoots with the snakes coming out of her head like Medusa. She's already done in a music video her with the dancers, the row of dancers behind, and you know, all the arms come out, so she kind of looks like Shiva or one of these gods with many arms, a Hindu god. And we see time and time again, Beyonce did the same thing. Beyonce's done numerous photo shoots covered in leaves and butterflies, which is Giah, Mother Earth. And what do we have? Obviously, recently we had the 100 years of women's suffrage. So, Me Too. The worship of women, the worship of the female energy and the female principle is becoming more and more heightened. And this is all part of the satanic agenda. This is all part of the end times, where you're going to have a perversion of everything God has created. The order is supposed to be children submit to the mother submits to the father or the husband submits to Christ, and Christ is submitted to the Father. But in this perverted nation, you have people worshipping the earth, then you have them worshipping animals, then you have them kind of semi-worshipping children. It's like we put children on a pedestal, and at the same time we want to make them adults, and at the same time we want to objectify and sexualize them, and at the same time we need to listen to them. So it's kind of like a child has less rights than an animal, but more say than the average adult has. Then you have the woman worship, then you have the men somewhere far down the list, maybe behind like a horse or something, I don't know, because it's like a car these days is seen as more valuable than a male. So when I saw that, that was one of the first things that came into my mind. I wonder how long it will be if Rihanna really does have this baby, that she will do a photo shoot either posing as Mary or like Mother Earth with this child. Because it's all about normalizing the new age, normalizing occult worship. And I've heard that in the occult world, the highest demonic entity is not a male figure, it's actually a female figure, the goddess Diana. You know, in the Bible, I believe it's in the book of Acts, it talks about the temple of Diana. And Diana had like thousands of temple prostitutes and orgies, and all these kind of sex acts were part of the worship. And we all know Rihanna's had a lot of partners. You know, it's part of the industry that everybody is sleeping with everybody. It's like a cesspool. So this culture of promiscuity, female worship, the worship of the single mother, the removal of the men from the picture, matriarchy over patriarchy, is all tied into this. She might have said, I didn't sign up to be a role model, but we all know once you're a public figure, you are an influencer. So by elevating Rihanna, who comes out and makes such a statement as to say, I don't mind not being a wife, but I want kids, she is negatively impacting the whole of her followers, which is by design, we know. But it's something that on the natural side has to be looked at, but the spiritual side is also about ushering in more new age principles. It's not about a flood, it's about a drip. Drip it here, drip it there, bit by bit, just getting us accustomed and in, you know, to internalize accepting these new age principles like the worship of Mother Earth, which has become more prevalent with this talk about sustainability, which is part of Agenda 21. It's a nice part of the language that they use, which means basically we want to find a way to keep the population down so that there's some people in the future, but not too many, and we don't want to kill everybody now, but we don't want too many people in the future. So this word sustainability sounds nice, but it's not as innocent as it sounds. Okay, so this whole thing with Rihanna is just another branch on the feminist tree. It's another branch on the occult tree, and it's all about ushering in a perversion of God's creation. Thanks so much for tuning in. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I will catch you in the next one. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.